I bring a lens to dissect the Moldovan TV series Plaha, directed by Igor Cobileanski. This presentation will not only debunk its mechanisms, but also expand into the broader international context of such portrayals, illuminating how modern media pathologizes political figures, labeling them as psychopaths, irrational, or deranged to simplify intricate policy decisions. As our starting point, recall Kobylianski's interview admission. The series dramatizes rumors that are not without foundation, positioning it as a societal radiography amid Moldova's elections, yet its mysterious €2.5 million funding from private donors screams orchestrated influence. It is quite ironic to produce a film about shadow influence with undisclosed funding sources. First, a recap of Vladimir Plotnik's trajectory. Born in 1966 in rural Moldova under Soviet yoke, Plotnik navigated the USSR's collapse to amass wealth in the anarchic 1990s, evolving into a political kingpin via the Democratic Party of Moldova (PDM). By the 2000s, he wielded control over media, courts, and governance, implicated in the infamous $1 billion theft of the century bank scandal. His 2019 exile, 8-year evasion, likely abetted by state actors, and recent extradition from Greece on September 25, 2025, just before Moldova's parliamentary vote, mirror global oligarch sagas. Think of Russia's post-Soviet tycoons in series like The Rise and Fall of the Russian Oligarchs, 2006, which pathologizes them as ruthless opportunists amid Yeltsin-era chaos, or Secrets of the Oligarch Wives, 2022, exposing Putin's cronies' lavish excesses to delegitimize their power. Similarly, Ukraine's Servant of the People, 2015, caricatures corrupt elites to propel Zelensky's real-life presidency, while Britain's Once Upon a Time in Londongrad, 2022, unmasks Russian oligarchs in exile as shadowy manipulators. These aren't isolated, they're part of a transnational template where media weaponizes personal flaws to critique systemic failures. Plaha itself chronicles 3 decades, from communism's crumble to captive state, where oligarchs hijack institutions. The plot follows Plaha's ascent through crime, blackmail, and political manipulation, romancing a journalist while rigging elections, echoing real events. Psychologically, it deploys simplistic persuasion, a binary tale of bandit-era villains versus naive innocents evolving toward pro-European modernity. Dialogues like Plaha's bribe pitch, "Accept this envelope, it's your future or your ruin," followed by the recipient's half-hearted acquiescence and often later remorse, reduce corruption to individual evil, ignoring sociological roots like hyperinflation and joblessness post-1991. Today's media routinely pathologizes hostile leaders as psychopaths or irrational to delegitimize policies. This isn't new, but amplified in our polarized era. Witness Western outlets branding Putin a paranoid narcissist for Ukraine invasions, or Trump a sociopath for isolationism, framing decisions as mental defects rather than strategic calculations amid global tensions. In Plaha, the protagonist is a cold manipulator, his psychopathy explaining Moldova's woes, sidestepping how Western-backed reforms or Russian policies to stop Moldova from reuniting with Romania enabled oligarchic capture. This tactic exploits confirmation bias, where audiences seek simple villains to avoid confronting their own complicity. Linked to the Western psyche, this stems from individualism, reducing history to personal pathologies in collective narratives. Ridley Scott's 2023 Napoleon portrays the emperor as an erratic, sexually frustrated man-baby, dependent on Josephine and bumbling through battles, diminishing his genius to Freudian inadequacies like short man syndrome. Netflix's 2024 Alexander, the Making of a God fuels controversy by depicting Alexander as potentially gay with fluid relationships, but critics twist it into an anxious queer trope, overlaying modern identities to humanize or undermine his conquests. From Hitler's madness excusing Nazism to Saddam Hussein's delusions, Western media pathologizes to justify interventions, reflecting a cultural hubris, our rationality versus their insanity. This narrative absolves systemic factors like colonialism's legacies, fostering moral superiority, yet this has scant traction in the global South. Why? Decolonizing perspectives view it as imperialist condescension, pathologizing distress without addressing structural inequalities. In regions like Africa or Latin America, leaders like Maduro or Mugabe are seen as resistors to neocolonialism, not mere psychopaths. Narratives emphasize sovereignty over personal flaws. Global South voices via forums like BRICS reject such global mental health frames as decontextualized, advocating for social suffering over individual labels. A prime example is the arc of selling young Moldovan babies to American couples. The series blames a local doctor and Plaha's mafia network, portraying them as heartless predators in clinics, handing over infants for cash amid tearful maternal pleas. Outrage ensues, but it's shallow. In the 1990s, international adoption was a booming industry, with US rates doubling as affluent couples sought healthy white children from Eastern Europe. Hollywood stars like Angelina Jolie and high-profile US senators lobbied aggressively, painting dire portraits of orphanages to justify interventions. I speak from experience. As a presidential advisor in an Eastern European country during that era, I fielded calls from US congressmen pressuring for adoptions, framing it as humanitarian aid while ignoring local demands for adoption. This was no isolated Moldovan vice. It was geopolitical opportunism, with over 1 million children shipped west amid fabrications of sad narrative status and real poverty. Plaha eludes this, conveniently shifting blame to local criminals. Plaha is intriguing precisely because it dodges these complexities, crafting a manipulative narrative that blames a cabal of villains during election season, smoke and mirrors obscuring geopolitical and social drivers, conveniently ignored Plahotniuk's early support from European and American diplomats. I attended meetings where he was courted as a partner for building a modern party, welcomed in Washington despite his shadows. He was only abandoned when unpredictable, allegedly evacuated with US aid. His 8-year evasion, impossible without a major state backing, and his return via extradition, a political ploy to bolster the pro-EU Party of Action and Solidarity, PAS, amid Russian interference and hybrid threats in the 2025 elections. Why does this matter now? Moldova's elections pit pro-European stability against pro-Russian fragmentation, with PAS framing it as a choice for EU integration amid economic woes and disinformation campaigns. Plaha amplifies this by demonizing the past, rallying voters to evolve without questioning Western complicity or internal reforms needed. The irony is stark in Plaha's media manipulation. He controls channels, orders falsified opinion polls, and dictates TV news rankings to shape public perception depicted as tyrannical. Yet when US-financed media outlets in Moldova, supported by USAID and entities like the National Endowment for Democracy, promote narratives against the opposition of the current government, it's hailed as democracy promotion. These aren't demand-driven. They're engineered with political objectives to counter Kremlin disinformation. This double standard exposes hypocrisy. Plaha's control is villainized, but foreign-backed media is beneficial, ignoring how both distort free markets for ideas, eroding trust in journalism. Such shallow analysis is detrimental to healthy democracy because it reduces systemic failures, rooted in geopolitical rivalries and economic disparities, to individual psychopathology, fostering polarization rather than dialogue. Narratives like Plaha preach to the converted. Pro-EU urbanites praise it as a wake-up call amplified by paid propagandists, as in articles lauding its quality, while speculating on real oligarch ties, such as a scene fueling rumors about a Romanian official compromised with prostitutes in a Chisinau hotel. But skeptics dismiss it as biased fiction, entrenching divides and enabling disinformation campaigns. This echo chamber effect stifles critical thinking, as the series' simplistic binary fails to engage nuanced views, ultimately weakening electoral integrity. Specific scenes underscore this. Plaha's impulsive aquarium shooting, blasting fish in a fit of rage, symbolizes unchecked psychopathy, yet it's cartoonish, blinding viewers to his calculated survival amid influences. His romance with an anti-corruption journalist whom he woos without suspecting her opposition ties humanizes him as smart but blinded by love, a trope evoking vulnerability but absolving systemic enablers. The finale's message, that purging bad individuals cleanses the state, mirrors vapid US Hollywood fare like The Bourne Identity, where corruption is personal, not structural, ignoring how Plahotniuk's empire thrived with Western complicity until his fall. In essence, Plaha manipulates through omission, shifting blame to villains while eliding Moldova's geopolitical chessboard. For true democratic health, we need narratives that confront complexities, not this electoral smoke and mirrors.
The channel offers videos produced by a team of profilers, experts in behavioral sciences and intelligence analysis for the purpose of understanding, planning and countering persuasion, manipulation strategies. The main categories are battle of narratives, countering public narratives, and human apps, behaviors mapping. We offer the level of support major decision makers are getting. Influence architects show you human dynamics, unveil propaganda, debunking fake news, shatter illusions, present myths and lies. We unfake for you. We show human behavior patterns. We expose how the overlords rule. We work as your influence radar. Our channel will provide regular updates prepared by our team focusing on day-to-day challenges as well as on issues that affect most of us, from financial to career moves, social political pressure, current trends, news propaganda, lifestyle choices and personal relationships negotiations. Our subscribers can go further with dedicated support. DM